Well, there you go, friends. I don't think you'll be able to hear it, but believe I hear a chopper flying that away right now. Can't quite see it. It's kind of lost in the trees here at our house. But about 10 minutes ago, 15 minutes ago, that chopper was going the other way, heading over that way towards Hackettstown Hospital, and that was a medevac. I'm certain, absolutely certain. And man, he was loaded for bear, going. Well, he wasn't going as fast as any Sabre jet or nothing, but he was for a helicopter. He was booking, and I imagine landed somewhere, got a patient, and whew, and well, that patient's now probably in the ER getting treatment, well-deserved treatment, and much-needed treatment. Uh, nicely, it saves all sorts of time saved with those choppers. They're uh, they're amazing, and they can go where an ambulance on the ground has to kind of dodge and weave and be careful about the traffic lights and all. Those choppers, right, beeline. They probably once they get airborne, they can probably see the darn hospital, right, off in the distance, and they just aim for it. Bingo, they got it. And meanwhile, too, enough people in the bay of that cargo bay of that chopper, or passenger compartment of that chopper, not cargo bay, but yeah, the passenger bay, they're already setting IVs and getting fluids going, and perhaps medicines being added, getting information, perhaps before the patient passes out, that kind of thing. They're uh, this is it's actually really a godsend. I would think. I mean, I've never seen any kind of results on it, but I would imagine the patient survival rate has got to be really good. And uh, being able to get someone to the right hospital with the right uh, emergency crew at the hospital in the ER or where the specialists are, is really a great thing. We were just getting into that when I was rescued down in North Carolina. And again, I'm not a present day rescue person. I kind of regret that I didn't stay with it, but other things came up and I got more into antiques and such. But I wish I had. As I look back, it's one thing I do regret. But for a while I was, 3, 4 years or so, I was with the city of Wilson, North Carolina, on their rescue squad. And I was a volunteer, um, not a paid volunteer. Uh, there were some paid men and women on this squad. And sometimes, like if we went and babysat the drag strip outside of town with an ambulance, and on the chance someone crashes their drag racer, well, sometimes the guy who owned the track might slip us 10, $15 and get us a few hamburgers, but that was about it. But and I remember thinking this. Now this was long ago, and I don't think they were doing a whole lot of medevac. Maybe some, but I don't think it was quite rolling yet back in those days. Maybe a little. And I remember thinking, boy, if they get choppers going to these for the really bad stuff, it could be a major lifesaver. And I guess it's turned out to be. Of course, there's so many people in that helicopter ambulance, so to speak, that you don't want anything going wrong, because a lot of good people, up to and including the patient, and maybe some of their loved ones, would stand a hard time. Would be very hard to survive the crash. Although my father told me that helicopters can, if they've got enough straight ground, level ground underneath them, they can bring it down hard, but not lethal hard. Of course, if you're the patient who's sick and has just had darn near every bone in his or her body broken, that landing might not be much fun. It might not be survivable, but yeah, boy, I know it'd be a hang-on moment, wouldn't it? But I remember, yeah, one day I was back in Wilson, North Carolina. It was a day like this, hot, uh, sunny, and it was my day to be on duty. So it was a Sunday, I believe a Sunday, and all of a sudden the dispatcher calls us into the dispatch room. He says, "Boys, I got a call for you. Yeah, you're going to grab the old ambulance, the one we use for the for delivering people to the various hospitals. That one, it's all set up, from what I understand. You're going to take a patient out to Greenville, North Carolina. You're going to take one out to Greenville." He didn't have to say North Carolina. We kind of assumed that. And I said, "God, that's about 60 miles away." "Yeah," he says, "and you're authorized to drive as fast as you can to get there. This is evidently a pretty bad emergency. A baby's just been born, and he's not breathing, and they can't seem over at the maternity section over at the hospital. They're having an awful time keeping him going. You got to get there as fast as you can." And like I said, the state police, town police, every town along the way will have troopers at all the traffic lights, all the curbs, and there'll be one or two well in front of you. Well, I don't know if he said there'd be any in front of us, but we'd be escorted, and we were to boogie. And what do? They say, "South, you're driving." What? Oh man, I'm not a stock car driver. Right? In you go. Okay. And I get in that ambulance. I'm saying a prayer, and we the garage door just opens up, or the bay door just opens up, and it's like something out of Star Wars. It just opens up, hit it, out we go. And our first stop was the hospital. Pick up the baby, and oh my God, they have him in a bassinet. He's about this big, very premature, very small, and not breathing. They're working on him with various inhalators and such, breathing devices for a baby. And they said, "Listen." In fact, I think a cop went with us, and he said, "I'm not driving." He says, "You're the ambulance driver. You know how to drive this thing. You can do it." I said, "Yes, sir." And he says, I'll stand shotgun with you." And we got cars escorting you. Anyone gets in your way, you hit them with that siren, lights. In fact, put the lights on now. Heck, put the siren on too, and off we go. I said, "Okay." Get all the stuff going. Of course, I'm saying a bit of a prayer, and wasn't necessarily accustomed to praying back then, but being on a rescue squad, you prayed a lot. And oh my God, I burned a strip right out of the squad hall, around the bend and out onto the highway. And oh my God, I remember the driver looking at me. I mean, not the driver, the patrol officer. I was the driver. And because I'm looking at me in the mirror, I said, "What are you, nuts?" And the policeman says, "You're only doing 80. I said, 80 is pretty fast. You get it up to about 110. I said, 110? This thing can take it. Don't you worry about it. Just stay straight. When you see a curve, get in on the low end of the curve, and then just let her drift out. Anyone gets in your way, doggone, we'll shoot them." I said, "Okay." And I think they meant it. And meanwhile, I didn't look in the mirror. I said, "How are they doing back there?" I said, "I can't take my eyes off the road ahead and the mirrors." He says, "Let me look." They're working on them. They look like they're doing some kind of CPR. I said, "Oh my God, okay, go faster." I said, "Okay, here we go, some more." Anyway, long story short, we got there in record time. And I back her into the loading bay at the hospital again in the other city. And They of course they have people meet us. The doors go, the back of the ambulance opens up. Everybody goes flying out. There's all sorts of doctors pouncing on the gurney and the nurses, and they all had their stuff ready. I don't think they had to do any more IVs. They had more than enough of them going in the poor little guy. But they, darned if they, well, we were just kind of, we, we were just kind of, the ambulance crew and the patrol officer, we're all just going, oh, like that. And oh, and I said, well, I guess we got to head back, huh? Yeah, and they said, oh, and the officer said, you know what? I said, so what? He said, you drove real well. But he says, you know what you got to do now? He says, you got to drive it back. I drive it back? I'm like, look at me, I'm a wreck. It'll calm your nerves. I said, you sure? Yeah. Now get it on back, because you never know. You're wired up for going fast. What if there's another emergency in your town? You may have to go, you may have to put the pedal to the metal, as they say. I said, yeah, but, oh, okay. And off we go, peel out with a Hi-O Silver. And we got back to Wilson in record time. Thank God everything was quiet. There must have been a good ball game on and no one was getting sick. And oh, I know our captain looked me over. He says, you look pretty whooped. I said, oh my God. He says, why don't you take the rest of the shift off? We'll get someone else to come in. I said, no, I'm pulling the shift. That's how it works. But oh my God. he said, you did well. And he says, and I don't know, a little later I got some kind of citation. Not a traffic ticket. It was some kind of, I have no idea where it is. It probably got lost in the sauce, but doggone, I felt pretty good about that. Yeah. And the family, I think I went over to see how the baby was doing, and the family was there, and they thanked us profusely. They were so tickled. And the baby made it. Yep. He's probably, well, this would have been the late 80s. I think late 70s, early 80s. So let's say 80, 90, 100. Oh my God, that kid's probably about 40 now. He's in his 40s. I'll be doggone. Whew. I got kids of his own. Well, I certainly hope so. Oh. Okay, well, I'll see you later. Just thought I don't know, that chopper just got me cooking. When you see a chopper, that's a very good way to get people to the hospital. Scary as it might seem, as dire as it might seem, it's a good way to go. Good way to go. See you later. God bless.